Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Stuff on 97.1 The Fan. I am Jeremy Birmingham. This is the Austin Birm Show. It's a special edition of the show because today is all about recruiting. I made a few stops around the city of Columbus to talk to a couple of players that Ohio State fans should know, including Reinaldo Perez right here at Columbus Academy. Reinaldo is a 2027 defensive line prospect who was offered by Ohio State in the in the summer. After camping with Ohio State and Larry Johnson, I think four straight days. So, you got that offer, Ronaldo. We'll just dive right in there. You got that offer after, again, showing up, doing the work, putting in the time, putting in the effort.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you when that call came, when the hey, you've done enough, now we know who you are? What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it meant a lot for sure. With the caliber of the team they have and the players that they recruit and the players that they produce to the NFL and, in different spans of life, it's definitely super intriguing to hear that from them and saying that, I had a scholarship offer from them. And, with all the hard work that I put in with them all summer long, it meant a lot to me because not only did, I end up with an offer from that at the end of the day, but also made me a better football player, working with Coach Jay and Coach Patrick all throughout the summer and, working on different moves and different techniques and stuff that can make me elevate my game, really helped me in the long run in this season. So I was super intrigued and, I came with a lot of it. So it was good. Yes, sir.
As you then take everything you learned in the summer, apply it to your junior season here at Columbus Academy, what was the biggest difference for you in the way that other schools treated you, maybe?
Yeah.
Did it feel different?
Not necessarily. Didn't feel a whole lot different with, me receiving an offer from them. It was more on the span of, of how much publicity I picked up from that. And, I feel like I got out there a lot more and people knew me a lot more. And not only but it, elevated my skill set so that, those other colleges could see what I could really produce out on the football field at different, places and different positions. And so, it kind of aided that and jump-started that a lot throughout the summer and throughout the fall season, that we just recently had. So it's been doing a lot for me.
I think it's interesting, Ronaldo, and I'm sure you've heard it from people. After Ohio State offered you in the summer, it kind of became an assumption that you would end up just committing to the Buckeyes quickly and there wouldn't be a process. You wouldn't go but you and your family have been very, very diligent in making sure that you got a chance to see all the things you need to see, right?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, we're recording this in December. You haven't made a college decision yet. This last time we talked about it, you said you're still probably looking more towards the spring. Doing all of those camp visits at Ohio State, you didn't go camp other places.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you've gained the most from the visits you made around the country? You've been to USC, Florida, a couple other spots. What have those trips shown you about the recruiting process, and how have they given you a sense of what to expect moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. I've been on so many, from different times of the year that, I've been able to gain different perspectives on, a lot of different stuff that I didn't see originally when I started out my process. My first visit was with Michigan in my sophomore year, and that visit was kind of, it was a little crazy, with the traffic and us not being used to how, actual game days are. And, just the movement of things was quick for us. And, we were talking to so many coaches and it was crazy. But as I went on, I started to see, what really goes on in the visits and how the itinerary goes and stuff like that. We were able to pick up on some different things that different schools value different to others. On my past visits with Purdue and Florida, they do, a lot of fun experiences and stuff like that to fully bond that chemistry with the coach and the player and the players to the other recruits, when I went down to Florida in the summer, we did a whole game show and a whole bunch of different crazy stuff. And it was a lot of fun, and it was definitely even better to see the true side of a lot of the coaches there. And it helped me a lot see a different perspective of that person and, helping me further build the relationship with them. But then on the other hand, you got, I went on a Michigan State visit and Ohio State visit, and they show you everything, with their marketing team to their equipment managing and all that stuff. And so you get to see the kind of the background of everything and what they don't normally show you with, how players get their equipment, how does this happen in the weight room, what is the expectation, that stuff also helps because then you can see, how they go about their everyday lives and how the players, manage their being a student and being an athlete as well. And so, it helped a lot with just having another perspective on everything and to help me further continue my process and, evaluating these schools.
You're a Columbus kid. Obviously, the Ohio State offer means a lot. And it doesn't just mean a lot to you. It means a lot to your family. It means a lot to your fellow students, to your teachers, to the principals. Have you noticed, has there been any pressure from anybody? Say, Ronaldo, what's the deal? How come you haven't committed yet?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously being from Columbus, like you said, everybody's kind of surrounded around that. I have plenty of teachers here who, talk about it all the time. I even have, a lot of close friends of mine who are, big Buckeye fans. And so
living vicariously through you in some way.
So it's kind of crazy. They ask me always these questions like, have you met Sonny Styles and stuff like that? Yeah. So, all that stuff, it doesn't really take that much of a toll on me because I'm used to it. But, I still think about it a lot, and that process. And, for me, what it really does is remind me every day of how lucky I am and how blessed I am, that, like there's many kids who play football that are from the rural country or from anywhere across the country or even the world that dream to play at the highest level one day, whether it's football, basketball, or whatnot. And to be able to have the connection with the school like Ohio State, and to be able to meet those players and those coaches and know them personally, hearing that from everybody else onto me, it kind of makes me feel like a way, I couldn't be here without anybody else, but, the people that support me and do everything that they can for me. So
when you see a guy like Sonny, obviously a Columbus kid himself, wearing the Block O, all of the things that have now come from being a kid who stayed home, you obviously have to make a decision that's best for you and your family. That's always going to be priority number one. But when you start to weigh out the options, how much does the non-football side of this matter? Because I feel like it's dangerous as a high school recruit of your pedigree to only choose based on football. Yeah. But at the same time, whatever school you pick, you're going there to play football. Yeah. No, so sir, most definitely. So there's this weird balance you have to strike. How much does the non-football matter compared to the football?
I mean, it's tough, to be honest. The biggest thing for me though that I do, and I've said this to many people, I try to take the sentimental value out of it. Yeah. Because I want to make sure that, of course, Ohio State's a great school, great culture, great tradition. Everything falls in line with all my morals. But, I don't want to go ahead and jump the gun and, miss out on a better decision or a better offer or anything with any other school, whether it's, me going somewhere else. I want to be able to take my time and fully go through the process and see everything because, I want to go to a school that will not only make me a better football player, but a better man. And, to have the opportunity to get a good degree so I can have something for after the life of football to support my family and stuff like that is very important to me. And so, I look at all those things through a microscope, and so does my family. And, we look at all the small things because those are what make the big picture. So, yes, sir.
When it comes to the relationship with Ohio State, you and I both know, you probably are learning it as this process is going along. The Buckeyes don't handle the recruiting process like everyone else. They're not sending you text messages every day. They're not calling you every day. Yeah. It is we're Ohio State. We're going to set up a time. We're going to talk to you once a week, maybe twice a week. Might be different people when you talk, but it's not, they're not beating you over the head with their recruitment, right? Because I think they know what their value is, and they know that they have other things they're working toward, like a national championship again and stuff like that. Do you feel like the connection with Larry Johnson, with Matt Patricia, with Ryan Day, with the staff there is where you want it to be 6 months after getting the offer?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I talk with Coach Johnson here once in a while. Actually, I was just talking to Coach Washington a couple of days ago. So, I'm in constant contact with all of them. And, even Coach Day came to stop by, a couple months back during football season. And so, I get constant contact with them and, we catch up a lot. And, they ask me, how's everything been with me and my family and, how's football been? And, we're in basketball season right now. They even asked me about basketball. They're very in touch with, everything outside of football for me. And that shows a lot because, a lot of times when a college coach goes ahead and contacts you, they go ahead and they just ask about football. Yeah. But, a lot of other schools though, that I've talked to, the majority of them, they want to have an actual relationship outside of just the mutual value of football between me and the coach. That part really matters to them. And that's why, I'm super intrigued to talk to all the colleges I talk to, and all the coaches that I've been able to meet in back 6 months when the June 15th when the contact period opened up. And so it's been a journey, and I've been able to hear a lot, but that's the constant pattern. I hear a lot. And so talking to those coaches and being able to talk to them about everything outside of football is nice. And so definitely means a lot. So yeah,
on the field, as a player in this area, growing up watching Ohio State, as you watch the evolution of their defense for a defensive lineman and you see what they're doing now, what intrigues you? What spot are they talking to you about playing in that defense? Because it seems like they have so many different guys playing so many different roles. Yeah. Where do they see you, and how do you feel like that aligns with your skill set?
Yes, sir, for sure. Like, for me personally, like I see myself as a very versatile football player, obviously, like I play defensive line and I do a lot of stuff on the D line, but I'm on the offensive side of the ball. Sometimes when we're on defense, they bump me down to a technique so I can play inside to get one-on-one with the guard. Or even if it's on offense, I've been put this year on tight end and have me in motion and to kick out blocks and to go ahead and, hit corners on screens and stuff like that. So, I'm utilized in many different ways. And so that's how they see me being projected on, the defense on Ohio State. They see me as a very versatile defensive end. So I can play more at a 5. I can even play out to a 7, bump back down to like a 4-eye to a 3. Stuff like that is, what they see me as playing. And, seeing how they utilize, Kaden and KJ, on the edge, in different packages and stuff like that, and how they roll Arvell down and they put KJ or Kaden in the box a little bit more, tying them down his technique. That's kind of how they see me playing. And so, seeing those guys make plays, I always try to go ahead and whenever I'm watching any school, trying to envision myself playing that position and say, do I think I fit in that scheme? And is that what they're trying to tell me? Is that what I fit in that scheme? So, yeah, yes, sir.
I think it's interesting. You have been, I don't want to say MIA. You were at Ohio State for the Texas game to start the season. You didn't go back for another visit after that. There are some people on the internet like, oh, what's going on? Is Ronaldo? Is he not in contact with Ohio State? Are they not interested? What's the situation? But clearly, you're watching fairly close every week to notice the intricacies of the defense. Yeah. As you've seen that evolve, and then even from last year to Jim Knowles to now Matt Patricia, the constant there at Ohio State for the last decade plus has been Larry Johnson in the defensive line, and he has a reputation, obviously, as a developer of defensive ends. Yeah. But the way that the defensive tackles have played and developed over the last couple of years is probably even more impressive. How much of your, and I'm just going to throw it out there because that's what these interviews are about, Ronaldo. It's about just having casual conversation. How much concern is there on your end as people around the country tell you, well, Coach Johnson's not going to be there? I mean, how much does that play into your eventual decision or a delay in a decision or as you watch the business of college football unfold, how much does that play into like, hey, maybe I should just wait back and see everything that transpires?
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, just speaking generally, like with everything that's been going on in college football, it's definitely been tragic, like seeing these much coaches get fired or leave or go ahead and move from place to place, it's definitely crazy. And, it hasn't been the much of the likes of it in such a long time. So, I've just been, I'm glad that, I'm not a 26 and I have to be in their shoes where they're a commit and then a coach leaves that they came to that school for. Yeah. And then now they're kind of in the driver's seat saying, what do I do? I'm very thankful that, I'm a year behind so that I can see everything unfold and how it unravels. Hopefully it'll set by, when the season's done and the playoffs are done and everything. But, definitely I've been, thinking about all possibilities. I've just been hypothetically or, theoretically, whatever you want to call it, thinking of all the different situations that could happen so that, I always have a second plan or a third plan or a fourth plan. So I'm always prepared for whatever situation is thrown at me.
Yeah, I mean, you saw on signing day, Ohio State gets the news that Brian Hartline is going to take over the South Florida program. And then you watch as the receivers who are committed have to make last-minute decisions that are ultimately like, it's like you want to commit to the school, but you also have the one relationship that's always going to be your best, which is with your position coach. And so it is a weird catch-22. How much does long-term stability, we'll just talk about the schools that you've mentioned, even in this time frame that we've been sitting here. Florida obviously made a coaching change. Michigan, there's all the stuff that's going on up there. Purdue just had a new coach come in this last year.
Yep.
How much does the stability and the knowledge that Ryan Day is not going anywhere at Ohio State, how much does that take some of that weight off your shoulders, or does it at all? Because again, the position coach conversation is one that's always going to be real.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. The position coach one is, that conversation is always going to be a big thing for me. I mean, normally sometimes when players get recruited, or actually majority of the time, they're getting their offers from, whether depending on the program, if it's the head coach, if it's the D coordinator, O coordinator, and then it's their position coach.
Yeah.
So I mean, majority of the offers I received some from head coaches, from D coordinators. Majority of them have been from the D line coaches, and so what I think about it is like Florida, for instance, a big thing for my recruiting was Coach Chapman and Coach Patterson, and I'm just trying to wait it out and see how that goes with them. But like if they leave, then I'd have to then take a step back and think about it, because I'm like they were the ones that recruited me in the beginning.
Right.
They were my primary contact and everything, and so.
And then they're going to start calling you when they're at a different school potentially.
Yeah.
So
I mean, those are the big things for me. Is like whoever was the one that offered me, or probably my primary contact, really matters to me, because that's kind of like influencing on the reason why I'm going there, is because of those people. And so I mean, head coaches do matter for me, though. Of course, I mean, that's the backbone of the team. Having a head coach, and kind of trickles down to everybody else. But knowing that, of course, Ryan Day, he's going to be there without a doubt for probably a long time. That kind of, lifts some weight, knowing that another school on my list, that has offered me, that I'm interested in, that they won't have that issue. But then again, like I said, anything could happen. There's been crazy stuff going on with everybody.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've just been making sure, saying that, I'm not going to confirm or, say in my mind that he's definitely not going to leave. But I want to make sure that I'm just having everything planned out so I can be ready for anything. So
ultimately, let's break it down. And you don't need to name the schools, but, you're talking about personal development, off the field development, on the field development. What are the Ronaldo Perez checklist, right? Like, what are the three things that you're like, this school that I choose eventually has to have this, this, and this? Like, what matters the most?
I mean, obviously, a lot of people look into, obviously, the football team.
Sure.
I mean, that's the biggest part, I think, in my opinion, that falls into that. But, like, outside of football, though, like, big things for me are, like, one is academics. I mean, that's a big thing for me and my family, being able to come out with a degree that's sustainable for, life outside of football. And that.
What do you want to study?
I haven't really figured that out yet. I haven't had the specifics. I've thought of many different things. I'm kind of stuck in between the middle of, like, going pre-med track or maybe going business. I don't know. I mean, luckily I have a lot of time, so I get to, fully process it and think about, what's the pros and cons of the different degrees. Because, at the same time, I can't take a degree where, it'll take time away from football, because obviously for me, that's going to school for football, that's a non-negotiable. So, but I still want to go to school to have a good degree so that I can have a good job, and then so on and so forth. But definitely academics is a big thing for me. Then also coach and player relationships, I think, is a huge thing for me as well. I mean, it would be for anybody else. I mean, I want to be able to go to school where I feel like I'm in a family, I don't want to make it feel like it's so individualistic in different, players or different coaches, or even outside of that, like the staff, the recruiting staff, player personnel, or whether it's even, anybody else who has a different position that involves with football. I want to make sure that, every day that I'm going in there, I'm knowing that my brothers are right beside me and they're working hard just as I am, and that, we're working in day out to get each other better. And so that's a big thing for me. And then lastly, tradition and culture is a big thing. I mean, for me, I'm a hardworking person. I'm a very competitive person. All my teammates can say that about me. I say that about them because, I try to make sure as a leader to instill that into the program, saying that, hey, we can't just go ahead and go every day, going, half of, whatever you're supposed to go. Yeah. So you can't do any of that. You got to keep on going full speed every single day, get 1% better every single day. And, my competitive nature of me going 100% every day, I can't kind of negotiate with myself about, going half speed or anything like that, So that's definitely a big thing also for me. But, I mean, other than that, though, I mean, there's countless different things. But, I mean, those are probably the biggest three for me because, like I said, at the end of the day, I want to be able to make myself a better man. And, when I eventually leave the game of football, I have a lot more left in my life because, it doesn't last forever. So,
as you've been able to watch over at Ohio State and get to see the way Larry Johnson is with his team, with his room, the way that Ryan Day is with his, I mean, is there, it's going to sound maybe stupid, but what questions does Ohio State still need to answer for Ronaldo Perez and his family? Are there any, or is it just constantly stacking and comparing Ohio State to everything else to make sure that you know exactly where you need to be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too many questions I could think of off the top of my head, It's just, just going more in detail with stuff, I've been there countless times, and, there are still some things that my parents would like to ask them, and, questions about, with my education and my academics. And then with me, just some not really that has to deal directly with football, but indirectly. And so stuff like that is like what I would like to ask them, as we go on in the process. Because, as official visit season comes up, and then, when I get to go there for a weekend and I get to see truly everything. Yeah. And then we start talking about, different things going on with both football and having me, and then, with everything else outside of football, like NIL and all that stuff, I want to make sure that I save that for then, and kind of, try to still process and take everything in as I go through the process. And so, yeah, it's very important for me. But other than that, though, I don't really have any other coach questions to ask him, because, when I was in the meetings, I can already tell Coach Johnson was, great coach. I mean, you hear about him constantly. He's notorious for what he does. But other than that, though, he's a great man, He starts all of his meetings with a Bible verse, every single one. He's a preacher of God, and, so am I. And I'm a strong believer in him. And, I'd never be able to do anything without the man above. So him starting off every meeting like that kind of made me see a different thing that, to be honest, I haven't seen any other coach do. I mean, the D-line coach, Coach Trump at Purdue, he does something similar. He opens up with Bible verses, but it's more of they start with a prayer. But Coach Johnson, I like what he does with that, and it kind of shows, that, whether you're a true believer or you just, are just a follower of Christ or whatever it may be, that he's always right beside you, and he's always, guiding you through this journey of life and pushing you to, become the best person you can in life, and, ultimately take his salvation. So, yeah, yes, sir.
Let me, as you start now, because there's like phases in recruitment, right?
Yeah.
So you've gone through kind of the first phase in the last 6 months. You started to pick up the offers, started to get the national acclaim, people knowing who you are. You're about to enter the next phase of things as you go into junior days. I'm sure Ohio State will have one in January where you and your family will get there, and a lot of the kids around Ohio will get there. Then it's official visit season. Have you started to plot this out, like how you want it to go from here? If there's an ideal scenario for Reinaldo Perez and his family to make a college decision, does that happen in the spring? Does it happen after summer visits? How do you think that this unfolds?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to be able to, give every college an opportunity. I'm interested in all of them, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to make sure that, like I said, I don't leave anything on the table that I might have been able to have. So, definitely our plan for my family as of right now is, take the junior days, go to all the junior days, kind of revisit the schools that I already visited, in the summer and the past spring, and even this fall that I visited, to go ahead and revisit, and then, come back and then again for official visits. And then, after that completely finishes, I'll probably have my whatever you say, top 10, top 5, whatever it may be for me at that point in time, in the spring when I do my official visits. Once I have that number narrowed down, then I'll probably make a decision probably by June or July, and that will be, my number one. So, I mean, hopefully, I'll be able to do something big here in the summer and do a whole big ceremony. So, I mean, we're trying to actually get that squared away right now, but with the likes of it, that's probably what my ideal situation would be in that case for that,
So heart of hearts, you haven't even begun narrowing it down in your heart at all? Like you don't have there's 3 or 4 that stand out? You don't have to name them.
No,
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, but I mean, some have, some haven't, I mean, a big thing for me is I still, am interested in every school, but for me, like, I want to be able to like know that like you're still thinking about me as a player and still recruiting me. Like sometimes, like some other coaches I've spoken to in the past of different schools that haven't offered me, they were like, hey, we're interested in stuff like that, and then it kind of went dead after that. So I mean, stuff like that happens all the time, but I just try to like keep in mind like like when was the last time I talked to him, and I try to see as much as I can through the the truth and the honesty of things, like how the coach truly is and how that program truly is. And I mean, I haven't ran into that issue yet, because all the people I've talked to are tremendous, but as we keep on going on, we keep on seeing more and more, and that's what my parents and me try to focus on. So.
I mean, that's the hard part is that every school that you visit, every school you talk to, you're getting the best of the best, right? You're getting the best of their focus. You're getting the best of their opportunities. And so it's harder at times to eliminate schools than it is to because they're all great and they all have different things that they can offer you. So you certainly have a ton of opportunities. You and your family seem to be handling it really well. And I'm glad that you were able to give us an opportunity to sit down and let people of Columbus know a little bit about you. As a son of Columbus, of the capital city, it's nice that people can get a chance to celebrate you a little bit. So thank you very much for your time. I'm going to let you get on with your day. I'm going to be back with another Ohio State football recruit right after this. Hey, everybody, it's Birm. Jeremy Birmingham from the Austin Birm Show on 97.1 The Fan. It's confession time. I finally stopped pretending I was fine and started Awaken 180 last Monday. I've watched Austin melt away. I've watched Brandon shrink in real time. I've seen Scotty Vegas and those guys all look like they're aging in reverse while I've continued to hold on to 40 additional pounds from the COVID years like it's a media credential. Now, of course, spending 6 hours a day in the car multiple times a week doesn't help, but we all have excuses. The holidays, that's another excuse, but I'm dropping that and already cruising through week one with Awaken 180, feeling the difference. I just feel better, primarily in my joints, and anyone who has arthritis like me knows it's not a joke, especially as we get up there in age. The decreased inflammation I'm already feeling is awesome. There's power in waking up eager to start the day, and Awaken 180 is giving that to me. If you've been watching everyone else succeed, thinking, yeah, maybe someday, trust me, someday starts today. I weigh in next week, and I bet I'll already have lost 10 pounds. Do yourselves a favor, do what we all did, and choose the solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com. Here now at Rutherford B. Hayes High School in Delaware, Ohio, sitting once again with Favour Aki, Ohio State 2026 signee. The running back. Last time I was here, Favour, it was the day that we filmed your commitment interview, and a lot has gone on since then for you. You've gone through your senior season. As we sit here, there's about a week, you said, until you head over to campus and start workouts with Coach Marati and the Ohio State strength and conditioning staff. So let's just dive in there because you had an interesting senior season. You dealt with some ankle issues that kept you off the field for the majority of it. How excited are you to get back to work? But also, is there any trepidation, any nerves like, hey, I'm going to get my butt kicked next week?
I mean, that's actually what I'm most excited for. When you're going against the top people in your position every single day at practice, you're only going to become better every single day. So I can't wait to get tossed around a little bit, just start with, and then getting really good at it, and then now I'm dominating them. So I'm really excited just to see that.
As you watched Bo and Isaiah this year go in as freshmen, enrolled early, Isaiah didn't even get to really practice until June or July because he was dealing with high school injuries. How does that encourage you? How does that motivate you for yourself as you head into year number one with Ohio State?
Yeah, that just tells me when it's my turn, I just have to make the most of my opportunity. That's my favorite quote, actually. Yeah. So when it's my turn to step up on the field, it doesn't matter what game it is. I'm going to make the most out of that opportunity, and I'm going to make a name for myself.
Now, as you've gone through this season, again, you got hurt on the first play of the year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's obviously there's some bad luck involved there. And for people who are maybe a little less grounded, they might get frustrated. They might get upset. They might say, why me? Why me? Yeah. What did you learn about Coach Laughlin and Ohio State in that time? Because obviously, at that point, you were and ostensibly still are the lone running back in this class, and you couldn't play as a senior, which is a pivotal time. What did you gain from them? How did they keep you motivated and encouraged through that difficult stretch?
It was just the love that they were showing me. Even while injured, they let me know, just affirmation, letting me know I'm still their guy, I'm still their running back. and it just proves to show that how much they care about me. And just hearing notes from Bo and Turbo, like Anthony Rogers, he told me, like, just don't rush it. You see Isaiah West, he was hurt too, and then he came up and now he made a name for himself, even though he was hurt. So just good motivation for me.
You know, when you watch Bo and Isaiah, and then even to a lesser degree Turbo, who did not play this year for Ohio State, but not everyone plays as freshmen. That's part of the gig, right? That's part of life in the big city. Part of the reason you go to Ohio State is to be challenged and to make yourself uncomfortable. What's the best advice that any of those three have given you in this stretch from the time you committed to now?
Really, just when it's your turn, you just make the most of it. Whether it's at practice or it's spring ball or you get in the game for the first time, if you make the most of that opportunity, you're going to make a name for yourself and you're just going to change your program.
How has the relationship been for you with Ryan Day, with the rest of the staff? Obviously, you, like everyone else on the offense who signed on signing day, woke up and expected to have one offensive coordinator, and now there's going to be a different one. It doesn't directly impact you because Brian Hartline was not your primary recruiter or your lead position coach. But what did the change with the offensive coordinator, what did that show you about college football, I guess? What was your response when you found out the news?
Yeah, it's a tough game, but, you know, I'm excited for Coach because he's just making the most out of his opportunity as well. So I'm really excited for him. But you still have to be a playmaker at the end of the day. Even if your head coach leaves, your offensive coordinator leaves, you're still the player. You have to go make plays out there when they're given to you.
I know that you were at every Ohio State game this year, every home game anyway. What was your favorite moment of the season watching, knowing that eventually you were going to be wearing that jersey?
I'd probably say the Texas game and the Grambling State game, just seeing the young guys getting those opportunities and flying around, it gave me good motivation. So when I get in a game like that, I just have to go make plays and make a name for myself.
As you've gone through this season, school wrapped up, finishing up, what's the thing you're most looking forward to about getting to campus? And how helpful is it for you that you're 15, 20 minutes away and maybe you don't have to bring everything all at once?
Yeah, it's really like a crazy experience because I think of guys like Chris Henry. He's coming all the way from California. So just him not being able to just go back and forth to his house like easily, just really a blessing. Just being able to stay home. I can eat my mom's home-cooked meals. You know, we're from Cameroon, Africa, so I can still eat my mom's delicious meals while being able to eat the program meals as well. So it's really a cool experience.
Have you tried to reach out to Kayla in the nutrition department at Ohio State to see if they can make some Cameroonian food or not?
Yeah, I talked to the chef a little bit.
Yeah?
He said like he's like in there a little bit, but he makes some really good quesadillas.
Are there quesadillas in Cameroon?
No, we don't have any.
Have you ever considered life after football involving you going to Cameroon and opening a quesadilla truck?
I might have to, actually. I might have to learn a thing or two from Uncle Mo. He's chefing it up really well.
That's not a bad idea. Well, with everything that's gone on in the sport, with everything that goes on in the sport, all of the news, NIL, transfer portal, all of the stuff that you have been very, very steadfast in your commitment. There was no wavering. I mean, you knew back in the spring you wanted to commit. You waited until the summer. You did all the things the right way. And then in the season, as you were the lone running back committed to Ohio State, you started to hear and see conversation about maybe adding a second running back. First, it was the conversation about Amari Latimer, who signed with West Virginia, and then there was the conversation about Legend Bay, who is not a traditional running back, but obviously might see some time out of the backfield as well. What were those conversations like with Ohio State? How did they present that to you? And also, how did you feel when you were like, hey, maybe they're going to think about adding someone else?
Oh, yeah, I was really excited to just get another brother. You know, it's all about the brotherhood and family, someone to learn from. So it's really a good opportunity when you have another person to compete with. And that conversation was like just another guy coming in to go to work with you, to push you. So we're just iron sharpens iron. So we're just ready to compete with each other.
Have you had a chance to speak with Legend? We're recording this the day after the news came out that he had been released from the letter of intent or the scholarship agreement with Tennessee. And it was announced that he plans to sign with Ohio State. Have you had a chance to speak with him? I mean, what is, obviously you're watching from a very different perspective. You have a family life, and your parents were extremely supportive of your decision from the start. Can you imagine what that would have been like in his position? I mean, have you had any of those conversations? I don't need you to spill all the beans, but I mean, what is that like in those conversations?
I mean, he was just telling me, like, telling the group chat that he's still a Buckeye at the end of the day. Even when he signed, he's still a Buckeye at the end of the day. So he just made it happen. So I'm very proud for him. Because my family, they were very supportive. Like, I remember when I got my first offer, my dad, he thought it was Ohio State, so he was pretty bummed out. But he's, like, very excited for me and what I'm about to do at Ohio State.
Who are you going to room with when you get to campus starting in a couple weeks?
Oh, yeah, I'll be with Jaden Ricketts and Nick Lauder.
That's a group of guys that are all Ohio, all a little bit, let's call it what it is, under the radar in this recruiting class. Do you find that sort of opportunity to uplift each other and edify each other is something that you are really looking forward to?
Oh, yeah, because when you get your opportunity to step out on the field and make a play, so when their opportunity comes, they're going to really make a big name for themselves. You see Kaden Curry, a lot of guys didn't know about him last year, but now everyone knows his name. So when you get your opportunity, you go make the most of it. And I know what those guys can do. I know what they're capable of. Like, their ceiling is really high, so I'm really excited to room with them and motivate them.
What has the conversation been like with Coach Marotti? Obviously, again, you start workouts next week. I'm going to tell you now, I'll tell you on the record and off, like, they're going to kick your butt. Like, it's not going to be what you're used to. And I know you guys work hard here at Hayes High School, but it's a much different world. What have they said to you or given you to help prepare for what's coming?
Oh, yeah, so all the signees, we got a training package so we can see, like, what we're supposed to expect. But, it's nothing when Coach May gets his hands on you, he's going to transform your whole body. So I'm really excited to see that getting pushed to my limit. I haven't really been pushed to my limit a couple times, but I'm really excited to see what he's able to do to me.
I've seen you walk down the tunnel at Ohio Stadium over and over since last year, and your brother's always with you, and he's a bigger kid. He's a little thicker than you. Are you looking forward to the opportunity to be like the bulky brother now? I mean,
yeah, I can't wait. Yeah,
make those backyard football games a little more physical.
Yep, because like my father, his genetics are insane. Like, he doesn't work out at all, and he's like huge. Like, he's built. So I can't wait to see what my full potential is going to look like. I'm very excited because I know I have a really high ceiling athletic-wise.
As you get ready for this next phase of your life, is there anything, looking back at Hayes High School as we sit here, I don't know if this is your last day in here, but it might be. It's certainly one of your last days in here. As you look back on the memory of high school football, what did this place mean to you, and how did the coaches here get you ready for what is coming?
I mean, it's home. I remember when I first came in here and I didn't see any playing time my sophomore year. And then I was playing JV, so it was really tough for me just to take it in, being on the sideline, watching them play football. But when I got that opportunity to start varsity and I just made the most of it, I want to transfer that over to Ohio State. If I don't see much playing time my freshman year, I know I have my sophomore year and then I have my junior year. So I just know when I get that opportunity, I'm going to change the program for sure.
There are very few things that anyone can do to get on the field and play as hard as you possibly can, play as fast as you possibly can, and listen, right? Special teams obviously is a great way for a young guy to get involved. There's plenty of things you can do, but the biggest adjustments are always going to be mental. They're always going to be time management. They're always going to be trying to get used to not being able to walk into the living room and ask mom to make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You have to make it yourself.
Yeah.
Is there a thing about living at home that, other than the food, that you are going to find as the biggest adjustment?
Really just seeing my parents and my siblings every single day. It's going to be a big change being out by myself, but I'm kind of excited for it. I'm not going to play my computer, stay on my computer as long as I want now. So,
well, you're like we talked about this before. You're kind of a nerd, right? You're kind of like a computer programming guy. What have you been working on in the last 6 months since we were here for your commitment?
Oh, yeah, I built like a really cool computer, actually. It has a 5070 graphics card with a i9 12900K CPU. So I spent a lot of money on it, and it was totally worth it.
What are you playing on it? What are you doing on it? Maybe not playing. Maybe you're not playing games. Maybe you're building games. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually working on a couple Blender projects. So that's what like Ohio State, 3D modeling. So a lot of 3D modeling, video creation, and programming. I'm working on a couple games actually.
Very cool. As people are finding out through these interviews with Ronaldo Perez, with Favour Aki now, and coming up with Kaden Gebhardt, you're going to find out these are very unique kids, all of them. And, you know, I talk all the time about Ohio State bringing in great people and not just great football players. Favour Aki is certainly another example of that. We really do appreciate your time. Congratulations. It's been awesome getting to know you over the last couple of years. And we're looking forward to seeing where things go for you when you get to campus. Good luck. We're going to be right back with Kaden Gebhardt over at Olentangy High School. We'll see you there. I'm sitting here at Olentangy High School with Ohio State 2026 signee Kaden Gebhardt, one of the last pieces of the puzzle in the Ohio State recruiting class. And Kaden, we're going to talk about a whole list of things here, but I want to get started with just where this all really picked back up for you, because back in March, you took a visit to Ohio State for a spring practice, and then like 3 days later, you committed to Clemson, and there wasn't a lot of conversation from you, about you, between you and Ohio State for the next 6.5 months, really. I remember being here in the summertime with Letterman Rose, Mick Walker. We were out watching you guys do some warm-ups and talking to CJ and talking to the coaches and just watching you fly around. As man, that looks like what Ohio State wants in their defense. And then silence really for a few months until November. So I want to start right there if we can. Like, have you had a chance to really decompress and evaluate how crazy things have been and how much your life has changed in 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's definitely been crazy. You know, definitely the decommitting process is very tough. And it was hard, just a lot of, like, talking to my family and prayers about it. I mean, it's just like the best opportunity for me was to stay in Ohio and take my talents to Ohio State. So, I mean, it ended up being, I think, the best decision for me.
When you started to get reached back out to by the Ohio State staff, what was your initial response? Because inside baseball here for folks watching, like, I reached out to you in early November. I said, hey, Kaden, I heard there might be some possibility for this to work out. And you were like, I'm not entirely interested, but I'm committed to Clemson. As long as nothing really changes there, this is where I'm going to be. So I said, okay, I'll drop it. And then things picked back up towards the end of the month. But when they started reaching out, what was your initial response?
You know, I was definitely, I mean, always interested. I mean, Ohio State's always been my dream school since a kid. So, I mean, it just, when they started reaching out, it kind of made me think a little bit. And then just my conversation with Coach Guerreri and really Coach Day, a ton. They're telling me having started a couple months ago, and just talking to them and kind of getting, like, them showing how much they wanted me to be a Buckeye, it really just made me feel really good about the decision.
And that was obviously a bit of a change, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because back in the spring, Jim Knowles had just left. Matt Guerreri had obviously been recruiting you a little bit, but it had been primarily Jim Knowles.
Yeah.
Because when he went to Penn State, there was an increase in interest for you with the Nittany Lions as well.
Yeah.
And he left. Matt Patricia came in. Things kind of got lost in the wash with you a little bit. What was it hard to, I don't know, forgive at that point? Was it something that it took you a couple days to be like, hey, this is not the same staff, it's not the same messaging?
For Ohio State?
Yeah.
No, not really, because I know, I mean, Matt Patricia is the best DC in the nation, I think. So, I mean, no, I don't really have any concerns about that, to be honest.
I mean, when you watch that defense this year, and you're watching it obviously closely because you're an Ohio State fan growing up, you're an Ohio kid, you're a Columbus kid, but then you're watching it and you're committed to another school.
Yeah.
Are you, the more the season went on and the more you're watching it, are you like, man, that's something I could really fit in?
Oh yeah, it's just, I mean, it's definitely fun to watch. And I couldn't say I wasn't watching them when I was committed, because I was. And it just, I mean, obviously seeing Ohio State win, just them being your dream school, like it still felt good about it. And then once they started reaching out and stuff, I really started to get more interested. And I mean, kid with a dream to play for Ohio State, you can't say no to it. So
that sort of opportunity obviously does not come for everyone.
Yeah.
It's rare here at Olentangy in this 2026 cycle. There's you and your teammate CJ Santa who are signed and ready to go to Ohio State. You're going to be heading off to campus and living there in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that at all? I mean, have you started to pack? What do you, and what is the benefit? Because you're obviously 20 minutes away from campus. You don't have to take everything all at once. You get a chance.
Yeah.
But what are like the first things that are already packed for you?
Honestly, I haven't really got packing yet.
Oh boy.
Yeah, haven't really got packing yet, but I mean, it's so close. I mean, you don't really got to pack too much, you know what I'm saying? So
you can take just 15 car rides back and forth. You're not coming from
it was nice.
California.
I'm real with CJ, my teammate, so I mean, that's gonna be great. I mean, we've been playing on the same team since think 3rd grade.
Yeah.
Now. So we've been playing a while together, so it's gonna be fun.
When I was here the last time, and I think it was actually end of May, I was talking to CJ about his dream of being a contractor. Like
Contractor?
Yeah, like he was talking about how he likes to build
Yeah.
stuff. Once he was building a wall or something like that in class. But as you guys start to think about life in college, how different does that feel? I mean, are you ready? Do you feel like you're ready for college? Because here you are, it's December,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden now you're an Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah, I feel ready. I mean, I think my family prepared me really
Yeah.
well. So, I mean, just going to go in there and give everything I got, I guess. So.
I had a conversation with Ryan Day last week on the show, and he was talking about you and the relationship he's had with you for years through RJ and through the Olentangy school system, the feeder system. What, when they started reaching back out, and it wasn't just McArary, it was Ryan Day personally.
Yeah, and Matt Patricia. I talked to Coach Patricia a lot. I like right when he got the job at Ohio State, I already had I think 1 or 2 FaceTime calls with him. So I already had a couple of conversations with him before all that. So, I mean, that was great to talk to him again.
But with Coach Day personally reaching out, did that emphasize to you that this was a more serious endeavor on their part than it was prior to that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always had a relationship with Coach Day, and it's always been a good one. And obviously, he's been watching me play since I was a kid playing with RJ. So, I mean, it was kind of like a full circle moment, which is kind of cool. And I mean, I'm just real happy about it.
So when you talk to RJ now and he's talking about not wanting to go to Ohio State, do you try to convince him he should go there?
I haven't really talked about him too much in the crew. We just be working hard together. I actually catch routes for him all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been great.
As you unfolded this season, like every week, your tape, you just out there just absolutely flying around, making 10, 15, 20 tackles a game. Why was Ohio State, what was the message from them when McArary, Matt Patricia, and Ryan Day started reaching out? What had they seen in your senior film that opened their eyes to what you're going to be able to bring to this defense?
I mean, obviously just the way I feel like I'm a different type of safety just because we're like hard-nosed safety, and I like that. And I just feel like if you turn on my tape, it really just shows how I play, fast and physical and violent. And I feel like all my senior season, I really showed that. And year over year, since my freshman year on varsity, I feel like, I've just showed. I feel like I'm a little bit underrated.
Yeah.
So, I like that coming in. And I feel like it gives me just a little edge.
As a player who's watching the national rankings and all that stuff unfold, as a guy who had been committed to Clemson, one of the elite programs in the country, who ends up signing with Ohio State, maybe arguably the elite program in the country.
Yeah, they are,
How does that lack of respect or the perceived slight on the ranking stuff, how does that fuel you, motivate you?
I think it just gives me a huge edge. And obviously it makes me want to work harder because I just feel like I just have so much more to prove and to do. And it's got a lot more goals to accomplish. So,
what was the biggest change in this building at school once everyone found out what was going on with you in Ohio State?
I feel like everyone was more happy because obviously Clemson's sort of like a playoff rival for Ohio State.
Well, not sort of. One of the worst losses in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So I would say, I have to say they were definitely more happy than when I committed to Clemson. Because I think a lot of people were shocked I picked Clemson over schools like Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So, I think a lot of people were surprised in the moment. But once they were surprised about Ohio State in the first, because I didn't tell anybody. So, I didn't tell.
How did you keep that secret? It's like the biggest thing of your whole life.
Yeah, I don't know. I really just told my family and then people that are close to me. And I just feel like I just want to make it a real surprise for everyone because I don't think anyone saw it coming because I didn't talk to anybody about it. So
when you finally did, was it with your teammates? Was it with your coach? How did you break that to your teammates? Because I'm going to be very honest with you here, Kaden. I had asked your teammate the day before you committed, or the day. Well, I assumed the weekend you were probably on your official visit to Ohio State, if I had to guess, which we'll talk about because that happened secretly. I asked CJ, I said, hey, I know I asked you about this a month ago, but has anything changed? And he said, nope.
Yeah, CJ kept that secret because I actually told him about probably 2 weeks, when I committed. I told him the day after I committed and after I took my photo shoot. But I actually didn't take an OV. I just came in for a photo shoot in the morning because it's just like the timing and everything. They were big games for obviously Michigan. And can't believe you kept it quiet for that long. That's my guy, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's why
very
he's your roommate,
trustworthy.
right?
Yeah.
That's why you're gonna be living with him.
So I was just thankfully he kept it silent. I mean, it was a surprise for everybody. So
As this conversation changed, as the decision changed, what was the hardest part? I assume it's calling Clemson and telling them thank you for everything, but no thank you. Which coach there was the hardest part of the conversation with?
I would say all of them,
Yeah.
to be honest. I called Coach Kahn, Coach Allen, Coach Sweeney, and obviously all three of them recruited me so hard to get to Clemson. And they were a big reason why I chose them in the first place. And just kind of emotional because those were like, I was so tight with them. But like, I mean, family's a big for me. And I couldn't leave my family. And then my dream was always play for Ohio State, is to have that opportunity. I mean, it's hard to say no to that.
Yeah. It's weird because and you can tell me if I'm completely off base, but I imagine that conversation is a mix of them being disappointed but then happy for you, knowing that you get to be at Ohio State, which is where you obviously dreamt of playing your whole life. And I know that the relationship Ryan Day has with Dabo Swinney is like maybe one of his best with any coach in the country. I know they have a ton of mutual respect. I actually think there's a lot of similarities between Ohio State and Clemson that maybe doesn't get talked about because whatever reason, they're far enough apart that people don't really see them the same. Aside from the family side of things, what was it about the Ohio State program that really drew you in once? Because as a fan, you know this and you've learned this in the last few years. It doesn't matter who you grew up rooting for when it comes to what the best thing for your future is, right? So what ultimately was the thing that Ohio State provided or showed you about their plan for you that made you feel like it was the right spot?
Obviously, their main message, you're competing against the best every day.
Yeah.
And obviously, just being a competitor I am, that really that made me excited just because that's going to just make your game go such more to a high level. And I feel like that's a great opportunity to have. And, you're going against guys like, J.J. Smith still staying our year.
Yeah.
All the other talented wide receivers they got, because they got a lot of them.
Sure.
And I just think it's a great opportunity.
Has it struck you that in a month's time, a month and a half from now, you're going to be practicing against Jeremiah Smith?
It's kind of crazy to think about.
He's an alien. He's not even from this planet.
He's not real. Yeah, he's crazy, but it's kind of surreal. Yeah.
When you start to think about the future and the way you fit into that defense, I know that early on in the process, there were questions about if you're going to outgrow safety and maybe turn into like a hybrid linebacker type. There was some questions about when Ohio State had recruited Simeon Caldwell, if you two were too similar.
Yeah.
Then CJ's, Simeon's like almost 6'4" now, or 6'3", and growing into something different. How, as you looked at the fit from a defensive standpoint, where do you see yourself in this defense that you've been watching all year long?
I definitely feel safety. I feel like a lot of people say linebacker, but I got a lot more speed than people think. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. You turn on my film, I really think I can do it all. I can cover. I don't show too much of it in my tape, but
you're not asked to.
Yeah, I'm not asked to in our defense at the high school. So, I haven't really got to show that and really play in like the deep half of the field, really, I would say. I'm more like a box safety in our defense. So, I get a lot of tackles. So I think
turn on his tape, you'll see it. He has a lot of tackles.
Yeah. So I think it was just like, there's another area where I think I can do a lot more than people think. So,
as you had those conversations with Matt Patricia and things started to unfold, what is it like picking that guy's brain about football? It has to be surreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just how smart he is, and just like his relationship with the players too. Like throughout the season, even when I was committed to Clemson, like all the players are saying like how much they liked him too. That really just like made me feel even better about Ohio State when I committed. When I committed to Coach Day at practice that day, I decommitted from Clemson. Just talking to him throughout practice and him teaching me stuff was it was amazing. Just how much he knows.
I'm interested to go back to the spring, and again, you were involved in this weird little triangle rotation of defensive coordinators. Jim Knowles was recruiting you at Ohio State, left to go to Penn State, started recruiting you at Penn State.
Yep.
Tom Allen, who was the defensive coordinator at Penn State, had been recruiting you for Penn State, went to Clemson, started recruiting you for Clemson. And then now on signing day, the day that you officially signed with Ohio State, the day that everyone learned about your decision, you watched the Ohio State offensive coordinator take another job that morning.
Yeah.
Obviously doesn't involve you directly, but has it taught you a lesson about the business side of college football? And is it scary? Does it make you realize how different it's going to be at the next level? What's the response to that sort of movement?
Really, I think, you got to kind of expect it. Because, coaching is a business. College football has turned into like a true business now. So, you kind of just can't get affected by it. I feel like you just got to pick a school that you really love. Even just not even talking about the coach, just love and want to be at. Just in case that happens, like if you commit somewhere you don't love and they leave you, you're kind of stranded. So I feel like for me, Ohio State's always been my dream school.
Yeah.
I have kids at games since I was little.
Yeah.
So it's just a place where take away football. It's just a place where I want to be.
What was the first Ohio State game you ever attended as a fan?
I don't really know. I feel like UNLV, maybe.
Yeah.
I think they used to
What
play
was the
them.
most memorable game you went to as a fan?
Honestly, I haven't really been to many big games.
Not in the last couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, not really. But I would say all. They're great experiences. So I'd say all of them.
As a guy who grew up in Ohio and didn't get to play at Ohio State, obviously, because I'm not a football player body, as you can see. Who was the Buckeye that you grew up as like, that's the guy I want to be? Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
Nobody on defense.
Oh, yeah. Really, I was an offensive player really throughout. Like when I was younger, I played running back. Used to tote the rock a little bit, can't lie. And just through middle school, I was like a true offensive player. And I played defense in middle school, and that's why I kind of learned like I can really hit. Yeah. And then carrying on to high school, I played really all safety and then offense when they needed me to go in there and make some plays. So Zeke was definitely my favorite Buckeye growing up. He was on my wall actually, even when because I lived in Indiana before. He was on my wall there. Then when we moved to obviously Olentangy area, Columbus, Ohio, he was on my wall in Ohio too. So
I didn't know you lived in Indiana. When did you move back to Ohio?
I moved in Ohio when I was in third grade. I'm not really sure the age, but I lived in Fort Wayne. I went to Carroll High School. Okay. Yeah, so I moved and then moved.
Fort Wayne's Buckeye country, essentially. There's a ton of Buckeye.
Yeah, I think
one
of our receivers.
Your Quaden Guilford's from there, and that's where Mylan Graham is from. And back in the old days, Austin Mack. A lot of Ohio State flavor there. Do you and CJ have conversations now, knowing you're going to be roommates, you're going to be teammates, continuing? There's the black stripe, right? Yeah. Have you guys started to talk about who's going to be is it a friendly competition? Is it?
Oh yeah. Obviously we both love each other. Yeah. So we're happy for each other whatever happens. But obviously I'm trying to get that stripe off. So when I get on campus, that goal is something I want to scratch off. So.
What do you think the biggest adjustment's going to be when you get to college? And what have people that you've already spoken to about who are already on a college campus somewhere, whether it's Clemson or players at Ohio State, what was the one thing that they told you, hey, be prepared for this?
Obviously, having guys I'm friends with like Ethan Grunkmeyer, Penn State starting QB right now, and Gavin Grover, who plays at Cincy, and Jackson Wiley, plays at Youngstown wide receiver. Just talking to them, obviously the speed of the game is going to be different. Nobody on the field is really slacks. Right. So,
especially at Ohio State.
Yeah, especially at Ohio State. So, obviously it's going against those every day. You're probably going to get beat. So, just honestly, it's playing your game. That's really what, I carry into it. So,
when you committed to Clemson back in March, what did you do with all of your Ohio State clothing?
It was still in my closet.
Was it just moved to the side? Was it?
Yeah, I actually had clothes blocking. I still had a Blocko and a Buckeye sticker in my closet from when I put right when we moved to Ohio, and I kind of had to block that a little bit with some of my clothes. So it's all out now.
So what has happened to all of the orange gear that was in there? Has it been passed out to?
It's kind of in the back of my closet.
Hey, you never know. It's the transfer portal era is crazy. You never know where things go.
I know, yeah.
I'm curious as now all of this has occurred. Is there anything that you would go back and tell yourself you should have done different or could have done different, or a lesson that you learned from the recruiting process?
I think, honestly, I just take a little bit more time on things.
Yeah.
Like, because obviously, I think at the time I didn't realize, but Ohio State was going through.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the stretch that they had in the playoffs, I mean, they were playing, I think,
Till January 20th.
4 top 10 teams?
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 in a row, right? By the time
Yeah,
it was over.
so, yeah, 5 in a row. But just, like, understand that they were busy.
Yeah.
I think that would have been big. Because I only talked to Gray, like, once a week. And, like, with Clemson, I was talking to them, like, every single day of the week. So, obviously, they –
In what? In like December, January,
yeah,
et cetera?
yeah. Since when they offered me, they were just calling me all the time, like Coach Sweeney, Coach Conn, Coach Allen, which I have a ton of respect for those guys.
Yeah.
And just probably take a little more time and take. I only took 1 OV. I feel like taking all 3 of them would have helped a little bit more, and just not really rush the decision. I feel like I could maybe did that. Didn't really rush it, but like just like want it right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
There's a mindset, I think, and this is something Ohio State has had to combat over the last few years, in that a lot of times people assume that Ohio State has to handle their business the same way everyone else handles their business. And especially for an in-state kid, like they feel like maybe they can, as long as they're being honest with you, then like the conversation is going where it needs to go.
Yeah.
But then when it picks back up in the season, I imagine that's just you going, whoa, this is different than it was before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when they started reaching out, they were reaching out for sure. So, I mean, yeah, it was a little bit different. I mean, it was just hard.
Yeah.
Like, but, I mean, it ended up all working out, so.
That it did. Ohio State signed Kaden Gebhardt and his teammate CJ Santa, who is not with us today. We're going to try to get CJ before he enrolls as well. But, you know, as you look ahead, what is the thing about running into Ohio Stadium wearing the Buckeyes jersey that gives you the biggest like chills before it happens? Is it the spring game? Is it the regular season game? Is it just walking into the Woody and seeing a locker that says Gebhardt? What are you most excited about as the fan, the kid that grew up dreaming of playing?
I think
Ohio
just
State?
like true, like dream come true.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like unreal. I mean, that's kind of the way to look at it. Like just how proud my family is of it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously my whole family is diehard Buckeye fans. So it's just like proud moment. I'd say like a dream come true. So.
Well, we appreciate you allowing us to be on the ride a little bit. Obviously, the last month was kind of under the radar for you on purpose as you figured out what you needed to figure out. And it seems like it ended up where you wanted to be all along. Kaden Gebhardt is signed with Ohio State. He'll be enrolling with the Buckeyes at the beginning of January, get a chance to hopefully show up for Fiesta Bowl practices as the team is getting ready after their Cotton Bowl game on the 31st of January, or December, my apologies. But Kaden Gebhardt's going to have a lot of time in front of Ohio State media in the next couple of years, and 97.1 The Fan and the Austin Birm Show will be there all the while. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. This is Kaden Gebhardt. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.